Hi, and welcome back to Beans and Bezels. Ever since Christopher Ward released the Titanium 12X, I had been seriously considering picking one up. I tried one on at Wind Up Watch Fair and loved how it looked and felt on the wrist. But if you watched my review of the regular Titanium 12, you'd know that one thing held me back: the lack of a micro adjustment on the clasp. Thankfully, Christopher Ward fixed that issue with the 12X Titanium and all subsequent 12 models, making the decision to buy much easier. Then, late last year, they announced something even more special: a steel special edition of the 12X, celebrating the 10th anniversary of their in-house SH21 caliber. This version features a stunning blue theme and a skeletonized movement with 150 hand-polished facets, meticulously finished on both the front and back. The hand polishing was carried out by APJ Sal, a firm specializing in high-end watch component finishing, which Christopher Ward began working with after the overwhelming demand for the Bel Canto exceeded the capacity of their original suppliers and partners, Armin and Chronode. The moment this watch was announced, I immediately placed my order, and after 3 months of ownership, I can confidently say I've loved every moment of wearing and photographing it. On the bracelet, this watch retails for $4,725 and the most common response I've heard is, "You could get a Tudor for that price." And yes, that's true, but the way I see it, the better way to phrase it is, yes, you can get all of this for the price of a Tudor. Let's check it out. The 12X steel has a case that is both intricately designed and exceptionally finished. I measured it at 42 millimeters across its widest point, including the crown guard components, and 40.75 millimeters at its narrowest. The lug-to-lug measurement is tricky, but across the case alone it spans 45.75 millimeters, and if you include the end links, it stretches to 53.5 millimeters. However, given the way the bracelet integrates into the case, it realistically wears like a watch with a 48 millimeter or 49 millimeter lug-to-lug span. The height comes in at 12.75 millimeters, which includes both the top and bottom boxed sapphire crystals, each featuring excellent anti-reflective coating. As with any modern Christopher Ward watch, the case finishing is exemplary. I stand by this statement, even against watches that cost 4 to 5 times as much. The 12X takes the core design language of the 12, but beefs it up slightly, with subtle increases in height across the mid-case and stepped bezel sections to accommodate the thicker SH21 movement. However, thanks to its multi-step case architecture and masterful combination of brushed, media blasted, and polished surfaces, the added thickness all but disappears when worn. At 3 o'clock, there's a 5.35 millimeter screw-down crown, which is easy to grip and operate. The crown action is excellent, with a well-machined crown tube that feels solid and satisfying to use. Flanking it are screw-in crown guards, which themselves feature a mix of polished, brushed, and blasted finishes, adding to the case's complexity. Christopher Ward's light catcher case designs have always impressed me, and while the 12X technically isn't labeled as one, its generous use of polished bevels and surfaces creates a similarly striking play of light. Flipping the watch over, you're met with a screw-down case back that houses a large boxed sapphire crystal, providing an expansive view of the beautifully executed SH21 movement inside. And despite its intricate skeletonization, the 12X still maintains 100 meters of water resistance, making it as practical as it is visually stunning. This watch blurs the line between dial and movement, thanks to its extensively skeletonized SH21 caliber. Unlike traditional dials, most of what you see from the front is the movement itself, yet legibility remains impressively high. A blue chapter ring, slightly recessed into but mostly above the movement, features pale blue minute markings that stand out well, making time reading effortless despite the open work design. Further aiding visibility is a recessed lumed ring generously filled with X1 grade super luminova, which not only enhances nighttime legibility, but also features rectangular cliffs at each hour marker, a thoughtful upgrade from the C60 concept that makes orientation easier. At 12 o'clock, a global light marker, color matched to the watch's blue theme, serves as a focal point. Continuing the blue theme, the handset is strikingly finished, with a combination of brushed top surfaces, polished edges, and large lume-filled plots, all except for the seconds hand, which remains unloomed. But the real star of the show is the architectural execution of the SH21 movement, which appears to take inspiration from the C60 concept's a skeletonized caliber, but pushes the concept even further. More material has been removed, exposing finer details like the keyless works at 3 o'clock and the Inca block shock protection at 4 o'clock, features typically hidden in most movements. My favorite elements of this dial are undoubtedly the 4 structural bridges at 6, 8, 10, and 12 o'clock. These aren't just functional components, they add an immense sense of depth with beautifully sloped surfaces and crisp hand-polished bezels that gleam under the right lighting. The finishing here is excellent, and I genuinely cannot think of another watch in this price range that reaches this level of execution, unless you're scouring the pre-owned market for obscure independents or vintage pieces. The exposed twin barrels also provide an interactive element, allowing you to gauge the remaining power reserve just by observing their state of wind. Overall, this watch is a joy to look at and an even greater joy to photograph and examine under a loupe. There aren't many watches in this price category that would inspire you to reach for a loupe, but this one absolutely does, which speaks volumes about just how special it is. The lume on the 12X steel builds upon the signature glow of the C60 concept, but refines it with a more legible design. Most notably, the Globalite XP orange triangle at 12 o'clock has been swapped for a light blue polygonal shape, seamlessly integrating with the watch's blue theme. The lume-filled ring surrounding the dial is both generously applied and thoughtfully executed, enhancing nighttime readability far beyond what the C60 concept offered. While the pale blue lume is sufficiently bright and long-lasting, it doesn't quite match the sheer intensity of the Trident Lumia, which I consider to be one of Christopher Ward's most underrated watches and an absolute lume powerhouse. That said, it does outperform my Ming 1709 in both brightness and longevity, making for a strong showing. The well-loomed hour and minute hands ensure excellent readability, though the seconds hand remains unloomed. Through the night, the watch remains highly legible, delivering a dependable and visually engaging lume experience. As a side note, I can't help but think how incredible it would have been if the rotor had been loomed too, much like the C1 Power Glow prototype, a touch that would have further emphasized the slightly futuristic aesthetic of this piece. This watch is powered by a truly special movement, a skeletonized and slimmed-down version of the in-house caliber SH21. This caliber, which first debuted in 2014, is now celebrating its 10th anniversary, and Christopher Ward has done it justice with some thoughtful refinements. The movement still features its robust double-barrel construction, providing an impressive 120-hour power reserve, and it remains chronometer certified, ensuring strong accuracy. In my experience, SH21 powered watches have always performed within chronometer tolerances, which is why I had no hesitation in picking this watch up, despite it being priced higher than a typical Christopher Ward timepiece. The SH21's history is also fascinating. Originally developed in collaboration with Johannes Janke, who was responsible for some of Christopher Ward's most innovative complications, including the jumping hour module that ultimately led to the bel canto. This movement was a product of the Synergy's Horloger R&D team, which was later merged into Christopher Ward. While it is an in-house caliber, they don't explicitly state where all of its components are manufactured. However, after looking at enough movements over the years, I strongly suspect at least the balance is produced by Concepta Watch Factory, a respected movement manufacturer known for manufacturing movements for brands like Bulgari, Jacob and Company, Louis Monet, and even Zinn. That's no knock against the SH21. Concepta is a powerhouse in the industry, and this movement is built to a very high standard. To celebrate a decade of the SH21, Christopher Ward has extended the use of hand-polished bezels to the backside of the movement, a level of finishing that elevates its visual appeal significantly. And honestly, if you can't already tell, I'm a huge fan of this movement. It not only keeps great time, but also looks incredible in its skeletonized form. The finishing is excellent for the price, and the quality, design, and experience rival those of independent high-end brands. To put it into perspective, I'd say The SH21 in this watch holds its own against the Schwarz ATN micro rotor caliber in my Ming 2011 Mosaic, which cost nearly 3 times as much. In fact, with its hand-polished bezels and top-tier quality control, I might go as far as to say that this movement is slightly nicer, and you all know by now how much I love my Ming watches. The 12X is a bit tricky to quantify in terms of wearability, as its unique case design defies conventional measurements. While its widest point, including the crown guards, comes in at 42 millimeters, without them, it's closer to 40.75 millimeters. There are no traditional lugs, so the usual lug-to-lug measurement doesn't apply. Instead, measuring between the two fixed case protrusions gives 45.75 millimeters, and including the first rigid end link extends that to 53.5 millimeters. Though, given the aggressive downward taper, the realistic equivalent lug-to-lug feel is somewhere around 49 millimeters. On paper, its 12.75 millimeter thickness might sound substantial, but the multi-stepped case design and boxed sapphire crystals on both sides make it wear far slimmer than the numbers suggest. It sits beautifully on the wrist with an unexpectedly refined profile. The attention to detail in the case finishing extends seamlessly to the bracelet, which features gorgeously brushed top surfaces and crisp polished bevels along the sides. The integrated bracelet tapers from around 25 millimeters at the case down to just over 18 millimeters at the clasp, giving it a sleek, comfortable fit. Speaking of the clasp, it's another standout feature that helped justify adding an integrated bracelet watch to my collection. The sleek micro-adjustment system allows for a quick extension via a ball bearing mechanism, adding 1.2 millimeters on each side, which has been perfect for accommodating wrist expansion throughout the day. The links articulate well, ensuring excellent comfort, and the clasp allows for an almost custom-fit level of adjustment. I also picked up both rubber straps, the blue one with a steel clasp that was released alongside this watch, and the black one with the titanium clasp, designed for the 12X titanium. These rubber straps completely change the watch's personality, making it feel sportier and more casual, and I have no complaints about their quality or design. However, I do have an issue with their length. For my 6.75-inch wrist, there's simply too much excess strap, which feels unnecessary. At some point, I'll likely trim it down myself, but I really wish Christopher Ward offered different size options for their rubber straps. This isn't just an issue with the 12X, it's also something I've encountered with my Trident Lume straps. That said, overall the watch wears exceptionally well on both the bracelet and rubber options, and I have nothing but good things to say about how it wears. This review has gone on long enough, so I'll keep this conclusion short. This watch is special. If the Bel Canto was Christopher Ward's moment of breaking into the industry's upper echelon, proving that they could push the boundaries of watchmaking within tight price constraints, then the 12X Special Edition feels like a taste of the next chapter in that story. It's a bold next step into the realm of haute horology and artisanal independent watchmaking, demonstrating once again that Christopher Ward can achieve more with less and also deliver more, and ask from its customers a whole lot less. And that's what makes this watch such a statement piece. It offers a genuinely high-end, independent watchmaking experience with meticulous finishing, an excellent movement and innovative design, and yet it costs no more than a Tudor. Once again, thanks for watching, and please subscribe to this channel if you don't already.